across the country leave you completely shocked of how little regard people have for another human life. Hit and run accidents, especially those involving an inebriated driver, are shocking the nation. What's worse is that many of them get off the hook pretty easily. Instant bail after arrest, free to live their life like nothing ever happened, while their victims are left to pick up the pieces. There are two instances that I want to highlight that have taken place in just this week, or at least have resurfaced in just this week. A video surfaced from the national capital where a drunk driver of an Audi car ran over 5 people, including an 8-year-old child, injuring them while they were sleeping on a footpath in the wee hours of 9th of July. Today, this video came out from Gujarat. A BMW struck a middle-aged man on a scooter in Gandhinagar, resulting in him being thrown onto the car's bonnet, killing him on the spot. This was at 7 in the morning. The victim was out to buy milk. According to eyewitnesses, the car was driven by a man who was clearly under the influence of alcohol. He was apprehended only to be released on bail because those were the sections that were invoked against him.
कल सुबह को तकरीबन 7 बजे के करीब गांधीनगर के सरगासन के टिपिन एरिया में एक एक्सीडेंट हुआ था, जिसकी एफआईआर पुलिस थाने में दर्ज हुई है। काले रंग की BMW के चालक ने उसके साथ अकस्मात किया और उसमें उसके पिता का डेथ हो गया। इस बात का मामला एफआईआर दर्ज हुआ है। जो एक्यूज्ड है उसको कल हिरासत में लिया गया था। उसका नाम वत्सल दीपक भाई कारिया है, जो राजकोट का रहने वाला है। हमने उसका ब्लड सैंपल लेके भिजवाया गया है। जो भी नतीजा आएगा उसके मुताबिक कार्यवाही की जाएगी।
Now, in the recent past, there have been several cases that have sparked outrage, and rightly so. A 17-year-old drunk driver rammed his father's supercar into a motorcycle and killed 2 people last year in Pune. He escaped trial as an adult because the charges he faced do not attract minimum jail term of 7 years or more. In fact, there was a plea by the police to treat him as an adult because when the accident happened last year, he was 17 years, 8 months and a few more days. But the Juvenile Justice Board ruled that the crime was serious but not heinous, which is why he should not be tried as an adult. In July last year, a Mumbai court granted bail to Shinde Sena leader Rajesh Shah, the father of the Mumbai BMW hit-and-run accused Mihir Shah. A woman had died. Her husband had suffered injuries in this hit-and-run accident in Mumbai's Worli, when the BMW car owned by Rajesh Shah rammed into their scooter, and yet bail was granted. In April this year, Chandigarh District Court granted anticipatory bail to an accused who was a driver of a Porsche who moved down a two-wheeler, caused the rider's death. Why again? Because the sections that have been invoked, the sections that are applicable in this particular case, can ensure that you either get table bail, which is instant bail right after your arrest, or a bail by the court if the court deems fit. The most recent one is the case that happened here in the national capital. Utsav Shekhar, the driver of a luxury car who was held for running over 5 people sleeping on a footpath in Vasant Vihar area, was granted bail by the local police since the charges slapped on him were all bailable. So then where does this leave the victims? Where does this leave the families of the victims? Is the law inept to deal with these kind of instances? Should it be far more stringent so that it acts as a deterrent? That's what we want to open up here on this edition of Brass Tacks. And joining me on the broadcast is Shilpa Mittal, sister of Siddharth Sharma, who was killed in 2016 in a hit-and-run accident. P.S. Pasricha, former DGP of Maharashtra Police, and Satya Mule, senior lawyer, are all with us. Thank you so much for joining us on Brass Tacks. Shilpa Mittal, I want to begin by asking you, it's been 9 years. Unfortunately, your family has been disappointed with the kind of legal wrangle that you've had to go through. Even the Supreme Court refused to deem the accused in your brother's case as an adult.
Yes. So when we went to it was considered heinous by the JJB. So it was definitely heinous because after his psych evaluation and everything, all the procedures done, it was identified that he had the knowledge. So they did consider it as a heinous crime. But then when in the High Court, the lawyers found this loophole in the system that it's the minimum sentence, and it became the word game, in short. And then we went to Supreme Court and we thought that at least they will take care of this error which has been, there's a flaw in the law which they will take care of, which didn't happen, which we were really, really disappointed about because they had the power. But what they did was on 9th January 2020, when the Supreme Court verdict came, they said that, okay, we finally took it took them like 3 hours of an hearing. And then they finally decided, yes, there is a flaw in the law, but we cannot, make the changes. And they directed it to the parliament, basically passed the buck. Now, what has happened? From 2020 till 2025, there have been around 10,000 accidents in general on road. And because they did not take a decision that time, now what has happened is all these accident cases that you're seeing, these are not accidents, I would like to call them the murder cases which have been taking place on the roads, is because the system has actually given them a jail free card. And they can really ride it because the parents have money. They will get the best of the best lawyers who will find such brilliant loopholes which we still have in our system. And it has not been corrected because I don't think so the governments of our country believe that we are the common people have any say in it, and we are not in a way they are saying that we don't even deserve to live. The road accident or the road mishaps have so many deaths. It's more than any other disease as well. But nobody is taking any precaution regarding it. Nobody is taking any stringent law. So I have money. I give my son or a daughter this fancy car, and then they go out for a drive. What happens? If they are underage, they just get, to write a 300 letter or
Page
word
essay, like we
essay.
saw in the Pune
Yes.
case, yes.
And like in my case, for 23 hours, the guy was missing. And the parents said, oh, we don't know where he is. When we asked the police next day that have you arrested anybody, they said, oh, last night because the accident happened so late, after 10 o'clock, we did not want to go and knock their doors. That kind of a statement was given to us. Now, should I be grieving that I lost my brother, or should I be fighting with the system that give me justice? I hate the word fighting, with the system, because I am a law-abiding citizen. I am the citizen of this country, which is such a huge democracy. What is the point if you can't serve me justice and I have to fight for it? I am not fighting from any alien or a British Raj. I am fighting with my own country. For what? To get justice. For what? Because somebody did something, unlawful, and then I have to bear the brunt. And the system doesn't support you. First, you are you go through the situational victim, and then you become the victim of the system, because the system is not pro victims. It is not. You
And
have
it's really
to go
time that that system changes. We've gone from the IPS to the BNS. Some things would change. But
No.
Mr. Pasricha, unfortunately, some things haven't. And that's the most unfortunate bit. The law enforcement agencies, the police in most cases, do you feel that there is very little that they can do because the law does not allow them to do it any further? Or is because they feel like these instances can be brushed aside, especially if there are rich, influential people involved?
Well, first let's understand we are talking about hit and run. Hit and run means where you cause an accident and run away from the place instead of giving succor to the victim. Now, what Ms. Mittal has mentioned, if somebody is underage, then why should we apply only 106, which is bailable? Then you must apply a harsher section, culpable homicide not amounting to murder, which become non-bailable. If somebody has taken drinks and driving and caused accident, make this section applicable. However, where the person has a proper license, he is not underage, he has not taken drinks, and then cause an accident and somebody dies, then we have to apply section 106, which is unfortunately bailable. But then there is a distinction in the law. If the accident is caused and the person, that he doesn't run away, then the punishment can be up to 5 years. But if he runs away, then the punishment can go up to 10 years. So that is the thing. So police has to go within the law. And most of the accidents are caused on the highways, especially at night time. If you want any clarification, but India has a very bad record. It's very sad. We are contributing 12% of fatalities of the entire world. 12%. And 36% accidents are caused on the national highways. Every 50 seconds we have an accident, and every hour we lose 18 to 19 innocent lives. Unfortunately,
But is that because there is no deterrent? Do
Yeah.
people
no,
feel
no.
do people feel like the laws are not deterring enough that you can get away with them? Especially, like I said, if you're influential and you have the money to line pockets. Unfortunately,
No,
that is the reality in India.
Yes.
no, there are many contributory factors. It is not just as simple. Driver's fault, what Ms. Batil has mentioned, I am with her, everybody is with her. We feel very sad. But then you also have to realize that our infrastructure has not been able to keep the pace. In 1951, we had 3 lakh vehicles. Today we have 3,900 lakh vehicles. That is 39 crore, 1,300 times. That time in 51, the road length was only 4 lakh kilometer. Today it is 67 lakh, only 6.5 times. And national highways are very hardly 2.2% of the total this thing. So there are some issues. Laws also there, people habits, the good licensing system has to be there, very effective, very stringent. Like in other countries, you can't get the license, straight away. You have to work hard. And then also they will decide whether to give you daytime driving permission or night time or the national highways. So there are a lot of, but here, unfortunately, the system is not that good, is not that effective and stringent.
Satya Mule, then, is it time to look at more stringent measures? Should the law have to change? We have the Motor Vehicles Act, we have the BNS, but unfortunately, the kind of sections that are invoked, it sends you into a pattern. Somebody gets arrested, they post for bail because the kind of sections that are invoked against them are all lenient, they're all bailable. They get table bail, they don't even have to go to court. Within a few hours of their arrest, they're out on bail, living their life as if nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Sure, of course. What has happened is our country requires sensitization about the issue. At the same time, it requires stringent laws. If one remembers, the current government in 2024 had brought a new law in BNS, and it was provision that there shall be punishment of up to 10 years jail and a fine up to 7 lakh rupees. And in 2024, a lot of protests had happened in the country, and including the truckers as well as various transporters. They had done a lot of protest and forced the union government to take back this law. This law was not meant only for the truckers or for the transporters. This law was applicable for everybody. It was a non-bailable provision that was introduced in BNS. Now, this particular provision has gone for refining and researching, and it will come back again with certain provisions. Let's hope it comes back. But however, the situation is that people here in our country do not understand that moment a driver leaves an injured victim, often lying helpless on the road, it ceases to be a mishap or an accident. It becomes a moral or a legal crime. And then at the moment, in the absence of a stringent law, yes, as one of my colleagues on this show said, that one has to invoke a provision such as culpable, homicide, non-culpable
Not amounting to murder,
or
yes.
not amounting to murder. But then that is only possible in certain conditions and not as a straitjacket rule. The situation is that the non-sensitization of people or desensitization of this particular issue in the society, coupled with general, understanding that one can flee away from justice, leads to a culture where fleeing the scene is wrongly interpreted as a viable option by these people who are engaged in this kind of
I
action.
just want to interrupt you there and ask you this. You say it's not a straitjacketed section that can be invoked. But let's take the case that has recently happened, the one from Gujarat. Gujarat is a dry state. So if somebody is driving in an inebriated condition, then that raises far more questions other than this particular instance in itself. But I'll get to that. As far as the incident in itself is concerned, a senior citizen, a 70-year-old, was mowed down by this car at 7 in the morning. The senior citizen was out to buy milk at 7 in the morning. He's dead on the spot. What more do you need to invoke culpable homicide not amounting to murder?
Well, what happens is many a times The circumstantial evidences, the situations, the time of reporting, the amount of alcohol, or for that matter, any kind of intoxication available in the driver's blood are deciding factors. One cannot rule out the element of corruption or bias. At the same time, we have to definitely acknowledge the fact that whether it is 7 o'clock in the morning or whether it is midnight, any time of the day, the victim is a victim, and the person who has lost his life, his near and dear one, as well as people who lose their limbs or whatever it is. The law has to take a more stringent path. So 7 a.m. doesn't make a difference. There are people who are suffering because of this kind of incidents across the country. At the other side, the what we can say, just like somebody has just raised the question of number of vehicles increasing at the infrastructure not being accompanying that kind of a growth. But at the same time, if we see metropolis such as Delhi, Mumbai, Indore, Pune, a lot of pubs and bars are being permitted to be opened in congested areas, and they are allowed to be functioning till beyond midnight, till 1:30, 2 a.m., when the infrastructure is not there, when the sensitization of public is not there. All these things are coupling and leading to a lot of devastating effect, and the government has to look at this particular situation in a more wholesome approach, because this is going to continue. This is going to continue. It is not going to stop by bringing just one stringent law. It needs to be
But isn't
attacked
that
with
the
a multi-pronged
isn't
approach.
that the beginning? I mean, at least we have to start somewhere, and perhaps getting a more stricter law is that path to go. But
Yes, of course.
Mr. Pasricha, I want to ask you this. Even in the Pune Porsche case last year, where the accused was driving a 2.5 crore car, he was just a few months short of turning 18. Now the JJB, the Juvenile Justice Board, has said that you cannot treat him as an adult, even though he mowed down and killed 2 people. But I want to ask you this, when cops are at the scene, when the local police is at the scene, they see the kind of car this person is driving, they see the kind of impression that it gives. Do you feel that at the local law enforcement level that maybe there is some sort of inherent bias that creeps in when they see luxury cars like this being involved?
Yes.
There you are. There you are. And that's what Ms. Mittal was mentioning. That sometimes you do get subdued by that kind of, high-end cars and that kind of, people. But in the case that you are referring to Pune, that was the worst because of two counts. One, the man was not an adult and he was driving. That means his father, the owner of the car, is also equally responsible under the law. Number two, he was drunk. So how did he get the drinks in a bar when he should not get, because less than 18 years in Maharashtra you can't take a drink.
Less than 25 actually.
So those were the things.
The drinking age is 25 in Maharashtra.
Not only that, there I'm coming to you, Ms. Poonam, that the car was being driven without number plate for many days. How did we fail as an enforcement authority? So it was a failure. Later on, they did certain things, but that was a failure. So there are many contributing factors, say, enforcement, then education, engineering, a lot of things are necessary. So we have to take a holistic approach and work out a proper strategy. I had the fortune of I was the chairman of the All India Road Safety Committee in the year 2000 to 2002, and my report was accepted by the government of India, but not fully implemented till today.
So those wheels of bureaucracy unfortunately turn very, very slowly. And
that is the
Shilpa,
point. That is the point.
and Shilpa Mittal, I want you to have the last word, because like you were pointing out, it's been almost a decade. Unfortunately, very little has changed. Where do the families of victims go then? What is the hope? Do you feel like there is very little hope in the system, in the judiciary?
See, there is no system which is pro-victim. As I said earlier, also, it's not at all working for you. You are alone in the fight. You're fighting a very large system, which is, firstly, to say very corrupt, from top to bottom. From the start of the accident till you're in the courts, it's very corrupt system. I'm sorry to say, but it's a fact. Let's please address it. Let's not just get very patriotic about it. I am a defense personnel's daughter. My grandfather was a freedom fighter. But I really wonder at times what did they fight for? It's a corrupt system that we have finally. The British Raj left us with this kind of a system where we are getting, first we were treated ill by the British, now we are treated ill by our own people, which is much more hurtful. It is not for us. My problem is because the system is so corrupt from start to end, you will end up always fighting for your justice. It's 10 years. I have the incident on camera. I have the acceptance by the people who have done the accident. I have all the proofs. There are 86 witnesses. Everything is there. And you know where I'm stuck? The trial hasn't started yet. I am at High Court right now deciding whether the 304 section or 304A should be applied. Can you believe that? Now, this is what the system is doing to you. And I have been fighting for 10 years. See, I am not going to get anything. I'm still the loser in this whole court case because my brother is not going to come back. But I have just been fighting so that the system changes. Thankfully, we got some of the laws changed because we were raising so much of voice. But the problem is the society, the system, everybody is responsible. When a child is driving on the road, everybody is seeing, no, your society is seeing,
Absolutely.
people are seeing, the police is seeing, everybody is seeing, but society says, oh wow, he's just 15, he drives. It's not a shame. Oh my God, your son is 15, he's driving. You know, it's
Absolutely. And until something
Yeah.
tragic happens, nobody even talks about it. It's more of a
No.
norm than an exception these days, many would say.
And then it is rubbish by saying, oh, it's an accident. No, it's not an accident. Your 15-year-old was driving a very, very powerful car, hitting somebody at the speed of 100. Why? Because you have money, you wanted to flaunt it, show it in front of your friends or whatever the case is. But the society has been watching it. Society didn't do anything. The system, I'm sure the police saw that, the traffic cops saw it, whatever happened, and nobody stopped it. That is why it led to it. Everybody, we are also responsible for it because we didn't stop people. That is where it is. If my whole thing is, if a juvenile is driving and there is a death, there should be no ifs and buts. The person has to go to the jail. It's section 304. No drama needed. 10 years I've been trying to identify where the problem is. You can't be tried as an adult because there is a flaw in the law. So I said, please correct it. It has not been corrected. I'm still fighting if it should be.
And leave alone cases involving juveniles, even cases involving adults. Sometimes you do not have these sections invoked and even they get away with it. And that's really the most unfortunate bit. We really do hope that there are some changes that are made, that the system is woken up, is shaken up to change something so that the families of these victims are not left behind, picking up those pieces, fighting legal battles for years together. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. I have to leave it there. I thank you all for joining us here on Tacks. Shifting focus now to the other development that took place, and that was the Enforcement Directorate's arrest of Chaitanya Baghel, who is the son of former Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel. This is in connection with a money laundering case. He was taken into custody from the family's residence in Bhilai. He is being looked at and charged under Section 19 of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act following fresh raids. Enforcement Directorate officials have alleged that Chaitanya Baghel was non-cooperative during that search, during that raid at his residence, which is why he was immediately arrested. Bhupesh Baghel, a senior Congress leader, former Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, then took to social media to criticize the timing of the raid. He alleged that it was meant to divert attention from a key issue that he and his party wanted to raise for discussion on the last day of the state's assembly's monsoon session. So what exactly is the scam that the Baghels are under the scanner for? At least Chaitanya Baghel is. According to the Enforcement Directorate, the case pertains to an illegal sale, distribution and licensing of alcohol. The charge has been of fake licenses and illegal shops that bypassed norms. The scam allegedly operated between 2019 and 2022 with the syndicate using various methods to generate illicit earnings. Furthermore, the corruption was reported within the department overseeing licensing and enforcement. Many bureaucrats, netas and excise officials allegedly ran a parallel excise department. The Enforcement Directorate claims that the liquor was sold to the public, but revenue was not deposited, and thereby the Exchequer bore losses to the tune of over 2,000 crore rupees. The Economic Offences Wing has estimated the scam value to be around 3,200 crore rupees, but we have the former Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh and father of Chaitanya Baghel come out and allege that this is nothing more than a conspiracy.
विपक्ष को दबाने के लिए ये रणनीति अपनाई गई है। कवासी लखमा भी टारगेट किया, देवेंद्र यादव को टारगेट किया, अभी मेरे बेटे को टारगेट कर रहे हैं। इसका मतलब ये है दबाने की कोशिश। हम लोग डरने वाले नहीं हैं। न डरेंगे, न झुकेंगे, न टूटेंगे। पिछले समय मेरा जन्मदिन था तो मेरे सलाहकार और मेरे ओएसडी गिरफ्तार किया गया। आज मेरे बेटे का जन्मदिन है, उस दिन को किया गया।
So here's how the Enforcement Directorate believes that the scam was orchestrated. The syndicate allegedly took kickbacks from distilleries for every case of liquor that was purchased by the Chhattisgarh State Marketing Corporation. The syndicate then allegedly sold this country liquor without any records. They deprived the government of revenue. The syndicate allegedly took bribes from these distilleries in exchange for allocating fixed market shares and creating a cartel-like situation. They also took substantial amounts from the FL10A license holders for allowing them to enter this market. That's the allegation that the Enforcement Directorate is now probing.
In a major development that happened this morning, Chaitanya Baghel, the son of former Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel, has now been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. According to the Enforcement Directorate, this entire scam or the alleged liquor policy scam that is being investigated by the agency is actually worth more than 2100 crore rupees, which means that Chaitanya Baghel was actually involved in this entire cartel-like nexus that was built by him to eventually garner money from the position that he was enjoying at that point of time. Now, according to sources within the Enforcement Directorate, Chaitanya Baghel was actually at the helm of things, and he had given those orders to purchase at least 40 lakh cartons of country-made liquor, which was supposed to be sold for retail purposes in government-owned liquor shops. But this entire purchase was made from the distillers. They were paid those amounts, but this was eventually not sold for retail purposes, which meant that the exchequer had to bear this entire loss. Now, the investigation that has been carried out till now, along with Chaitanya Baghel, the names of other officers of the excise department has also come up. The Enforcement Directorate believes that it was a cartel-like situation that was developed at that point of time to siphon off this entire money and to earn some money. Since Chaitanya Baghel was the son of the Chief Minister, he was at a position through which he could have dictated the terms, and that is the reason why the Enforcement Directorate now believes that he is the kingpin of this entire nexus.
Moving on now, back in March 2025, a large amount of burnt or partially burnt cash was found at the official residence of Justice Verma following a fire here in the national capital. He was then serving with the Delhi High Court. Justice Verma has consistently denied any link to the cash, describing the entire episode as a conspiracy to frame him. Then in May this year, the then Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, forwarded a recommendation to the Parliament urging impeachment proceedings against Justice Verma based on the internal committee's report. A recommendation on Verma now wants to be struck down by the Apex Court. In fact, Justice Verma's detailed plea has been accessed by CNN News 18, in which he questions the entire process. He calls it completely unconstitutional, procedurally flawed, and violative of his fundamental rights. The judge, who has served on the bench for over 11 years, has argued that the inquiry was triggered, in fact, in the absence of a formal complaint. He claims that it was based solely on presumptive queries about the fire incident and the purported discovery of cash. The judge then also alleged that the in-house committee by the Supreme Court that probed the matter against him completely violated principles of national justice. He said that he was never given a personal hearing by the Chief Justice of India. He was even denied the chance to participate in evidence collection, cross-examination of these witnesses, or access to the full material that was found, the evidence that was found, including the CCTV footage from the outhouse of his official residence. Justice Verma has claimed that he was subjected to a media trial, that the findings were made public by the Supreme Court and its internal committee when that should not have been the case.
Right ahead of an anticipated impeachment motion against Allahabad High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Verma, from whose house a big haul of cash was actually recovered when he was a judge at the Delhi High Court, he has now approached the topmost court of the country. He has filed a petition before, in fact, the Supreme Court, challenging, in fact, the May 6th decision of the Chief Justice of India and recommending, in fact, the removal of this judge by way of an impeachment, by sending that recommendation, in fact, to the President of India and, in fact, the Prime Minister as well. He has challenged that, and also, in fact, the in-house committee report that has been filed, in fact, by, the three-member in-house panel set up by the Supreme Court after the controversy had actually broken out. Remember that this in-house panel was actually headed by the Punjab and Haryana High Court Chief Justice, Justice Sheel Nagu, and another Chief Justice and, in fact, a senior judge of, in fact, Karnataka High Court was actually a part of this particular panel. However, Justice Verma has called this report to be something that is unconstitutional in nature. He said that the whole and sole inquiry report and the kind of a procedure that has been adopted as far as this in-house proceedings are concerned are against the principles of natural justice.
Justice Verma's plea in the Supreme Court could be seen as a last-ditch effort against his impending impeachment, or at least the recommendation of which has been made. There is buzz that could be brought in by members of Parliament in the monsoon session of Parliament that begins in a few days. But this process of impeaching a judge is rarely adopted because of how cumbersome it really is. It's never been successful in India either. So what exactly is this process if that motion is brought in during the monsoon session? First, the notice for initiation needs to be signed by at least 100 members of Parliament of the Lok Sabha and 50 of the Rajya Sabha. Depending on the House, the chair has the discretion whether to allow it or not. If that motion is admitted, a 3-member panel is formed to further probe these allegations. That panel includes a Supreme Court judge, a High Court Chief Justice, and a distinguished jurist. The judge is then entitled to a fair hearing, including the right to respond to charges and to cross-examine witnesses, one that Justice Verma has claimed was not given to him by the internal committee of the Supreme Court. If found guilty, the matter is then sent to Parliament to vote. 2/3 majority vote is needed to impeach a judge. In fact, CNN News 18 spoke with Union Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal, who says that the government has no role in the impeachment motion and it is in fact initiated by members of Parliament cutting across party lines who exercise their constitutional privilege. In fact, he said that the opposition's support on this particular motion only reflects a collective stand against corruption.
सरकार का कुछ भी लेना देना नहीं है। इसमें संविधान ने सांसदों को ये ताकत दी है कि आप अगर संसद सदस्य चाहें तो कि कोई जज ठीक काम नहीं कर रहा है या भ्रष्ट आचरण में लिप्त है या उसका हटना जरूरी है देश हित में, तो संसद सदस्य 100 या 100 से अधिक तो लोकसभा के में प्रस्ताव लावें, स्पीकर साहब को नोटिस दें। राज्यसभा में 50 या 50 से अधिक सदस्य हस्ताक्षर करके चेयरमैन साहब को नोटिस दें। तो ये तो सांसदों का विषय है, सरकार का इसमें कोई विषय ही नहीं है। सांसद और स्पीकर, सांसद और चेयरमैन राज्यसभा।
पर ये तैयारी तो चल रही है कहीं ना कहीं कि इनके खिलाफ कोई मोशन लाना है।
सांसद तैयारी कर रहे हैं अपनी, सांसद अपनी तैयारी कर रहे हैं।
तो आपके कहने का मतलब है कि मोशन भी जो लाएंगे वो सांसद ही लाएंगे, कोई मंत्री नहीं
लाएंगे। सांसद ही उनको स्पीकर साहब को वो देंगे, ये हमने हस्ताक्षर करके दिए हैं, आप ये कार्रवाई करो।
Shifting focus now to a big diplomatic victory that has come to the fore for India. US State Department has designated the Resistance Front, a shadow outfit of Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Toiba, as a foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorist. The official statement reads, TRF, a front and proxy of LET, claimed responsibility for the April 22nd Pahalgam attack, which killed 26 civilians. This was the deadliest attack on civilians in India since the 2008 Mumbai attacks conducted by the LET. The State Department said that its action demonstrated the Donald Trump administration's commitment to protecting its national security interests and to counter terrorism. India, of course, has welcomed this decision. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar described the development as a strong affirmation of India-US counter-terror cooperation. So what does this really mean? What does an FTO designation mean for the TRF, which is a proxy of the Lashkar-e-Toiba? Designation has significant legal consequences, including financial sanctions, immigration restrictions, and several other penalties that are placed on these organizations. US persons and entities are prohibited from providing material support to these designated organizations, so that's where your financial restrictions come in. As far as immigration curbs go, members and supporters of the organization that may be flagged as such will be denied entry into the United States. This designation as a foreign terror organization also leads to several other penalties, including restrictions on defense exports and sales, controls over exports of dual-use items as well. But this is not it. This, of course, is just the first step. India is not going to stop at just this sanction. In fact, government sources have told CNN News 18 that the next step is to take this to the Financial Action Task Force, and another letter has been sent by government to FATF against Pakistan already. India is making a strong case for grey listing Pakistan. Remember, Pakistan has been on the FATF grey list on and off. The intermediate report of the FATF just a few months ago, for the first time, had mentioned Pahalgam. Now, with the United States designated TRF as a terror group, which is the mastermind behind the Pahalgam attack, India's case is only further strengthened, is what we believe. So far, 3 letters have already been written to the FATF by India, and a 4th one has also now been written, citing the case that the US State Department has made to ensure that Pakistan is back on the radar of the Financial Action Task Force.
In the biggest diplomatic victory since Operation Sindoor, India gets the US State Department to add Pakistan-backed terror group TRF listed as a designated foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorist. State Department's release also says that TRF is a Lashkar proxy which claimed responsibility for the April 22nd Pahalgam attack, which claimed 26 civilians. It was not an easy journey for India to convince the world on TRF's role in the Pahalgam terror attack, especially with Pakistan and China shielding TRF openly. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar went on to count as his foreign policy achievement to get TRF's name removed from the 25th April UNSC statement. India briefed UNSC on TRF's role, which was blocked by China, putting a technical hold on it, which is a procedural delay used by permanent UNSC members to avoid open vetoes. The decision by US government to put TRF in a terror list is a biggest endorsement of Indian government's position in last 3 months. This is for the first time that any foreign country has put TRF on its terror list. This list consists of groups like Boko Haram, Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, etc. Now let's talk about the impact this will hold on Pak-based proxy groups. Stringent financial restrictions disrupt access to international financial systems, immigration restrictions on its members, international spotlight on its terrorism activities.
To put this in perspective, joining me on this broadcast is Lisa Curtis, Director of Indo-Pacific Security Program at the Center for a New American Security. Thank you so much, Ms. Curtis, for joining us here on Brats. I want to begin by asking you, there is a comparison that I want to draw to as to what has happened today. China has blocked multiple attempts that India has made at the UNSC to block terror groups, to block terrorists like Masood Azhar. In that context, what the United States has done today, how significant do you think that is?
Well, I think it is significant, but it's not surprising. The U.S. Has always designated known terrorist groups when they commit acts of terrorism. Of course, long ago, the U.S. designated Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. And when there have been offshoots of Lashkar-e-Taiba, like the resistance force is, they have also designated those groups as well. So I was not surprised to see that the State Department moved quickly to be able to designate this organization a terrorist organization. So it shows that the United States supports India, wants to work with India on counterterrorism, and really is opposed to any terrorism anywhere. And even when it happens against another nation. And so I think this is significant because it shows the U.S. is standing with India in the face of a terrorist attack that was sponsored by a group that is based in Pakistan.
Do you think this also is a result of the efforts that India has taken in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack? India had dispatched its emissaries, several delegations of members of parliament, a bipartisan panel, so to say, to multiple countries, including the United States. Do you think that is something that could have pushed the United States and the State Department to take a decision like this?
Well, I think it certainly helped. But I think even if those delegations would not have visited the United States, that the State Department and the Treasury Department would have still made these designations. It certainly didn't hurt. I'm sure it helped. But again, the United States has a very, established process for designating terrorist groups. It looks at the information and it decides, whether it believes these groups have actually engaged in terrorism. And I think they would have come to that conclusion even if these delegations had not visited Washington.
You know, even as we speak, just about a few minutes ago, we had this foreign ministry statement that came out from Pakistan, where they go on to talk about how the probe in the Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 innocent civilians in India, the probe in that was inconclusive, that there was absolutely no proof that anyone from Pakistan was responsible for it. In fact, they are calling this an anti-Pakistan propaganda that India is leading and something that the United States is falling prey to. How do you read that?
Well, again, I'm not surprised. I mean, look, we have seen Pakistan-based terrorist groups commit acts of terrorism in India over the past, 30, 40 years. So this is something that is not surprising. And it's also not surprising to see have different groups, spin-off groups. This has happened over and over in the past. I mean, you look at the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Clearly, Lashkar-e-Taiba was behind those attacks. And, even with ample evidence, Pakistan, would continue to deny that. So I don't think that, we were expecting that Pakistan was going to, come clean or ever admit that a group, coming from its territory committed this act of terrorism. So I think we just have to look at the facts. We have to, the United States should work closely with India as we establish the facts of this heinous terrorist attack that occurred on April 22nd and move forward. I think India has learned that trying to get Pakistan to investigate terrorist attacks that originate on its own territory is a dead end. It just has not resulted in any significant action by Pakistan against these groups. And it is time for Pakistan to shut down the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, to put its leaders in jail once and for all. These groups have been around a long time, and it's just simply unacceptable that they can still operate on Pakistani territory.
And that's exactly what I want to ask you. Not to be a cynic, but several of these Pak-based terrorists, several of these terror groups have been designated as terror groups or have been sanctioned by the United States even in the past. But Pakistan has been in denial. They claim that these are charity groups. They are in denial that they have anything to do with terror or fomenting terror into India. That safe haven that Pakistan is for these terror groups, that continues. How will it be any different this time around?
Yes, well, it's really difficult for the United States to deal with Pakistan because they are, continuing to harbor these terrorist groups that are attacking India. At the same time, they do help the United States on other terrorist groups like ISIS-K. We all saw that President Trump acknowledged Pakistan's role in capturing and extraditing one of the perpetrators of the Abbey Gate bombings. These were the bombings in Afghanistan in 2021 that killed 13 U.S. service members and over 200 Afghans. So it's very complicated because the U.S. Wants to cooperate with Pakistan on terrorist groups that are of mutual interest, groups like ISIS-K, TTP. But at the same time, other parts of the Pakistan, military establishment are harboring these terrorist groups that are attacking India. So it makes it very complicated for the United States to have a good, coherent policy toward Pakistan when it comes to terrorism.
Is that why then we do not see the United States putting its complete and full support and full weight behind India? Because there are some areas where they do need Pakistan as well, and that's something that could perhaps cast a shadow on the relationship that India and the United States also share.
Well, I think you are seeing the U.S. put the full weight of its support behind India. The U.S.-India relationship is moving forward. It's in good shape in many areas. You just had a Quad meeting where the Indian foreign minister was in Washington, D.C., had a series of meetings with, top officials, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, was very much supported, and there was a lot of interest in expanding the U.S.-India relationship. So I think that bilateral relationship is in good shape. I think where we've had some strain on the relationship is President Trump, taking responsibility for the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, talking about wanting to mediate on Kashmir. That, of course, caused some ripples in the relationship. But I think that we can overcome those, particularly if we see a trade deal announced soon. Things seem to be moving in the right direction on the trade deal front. And I think that would be a real boost to the bilateral relationship and hopefully move the two countries past the aftermath of the India-Pakistan conflict, which clearly caused some tension in the relationship.
And speaking of that credit that President Trump on multiple occasions has sought for ending this conflict between India and Pakistan this time around, this decision by the US State Department on TRF, do you think that perhaps could be another move by President Trump or his administration to try and claim an upper hand in this conflict, or at least try and claim that he still has some role to play?
Well, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that the Trump administration has been very clear on its policy toward terrorists anywhere. And this is part of that policy, to take a tough line and not excuse any terrorism wherever it happens, anywhere in the world. So I don't think this is any kind of play to try to mediate on Kashmir. I really don't think so. I think this is simply showing the U.S. commitment to countering terrorism, standing with India, in the aftermath of this attack, and is, a good step for the United States to take.
One last question, Ms. Curtis, before I let you go. The next step, of course, that India would want is to put Pakistan back on the Financial Action Task Force grey list. Pakistan has been on and off that list. Do you think this recent move by the US State Department would be one right step or one step closer to achieving that? Would it help at all?
Well, I think this is an interesting point. In fact, this came up. I testified before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the subcommittee on South and Central Asia Affairs, a few weeks ago. And one of the Republican congressional members actually asked this question about whether Pakistan needs to go back on the gray list of the Financial Action Task Force. And I think this is something that India and the United States need to work together on and determine if this is, in fact, something that is merited.
Well, India is definitely making that push. We do hope that the United States, and we bank on that support from the United States as far as putting Pakistan back on the FATF grey list is concerned. But I have to leave it there. Lisa Curtis, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
As pictures emerged of Donald Trump's bruised hands and swollen ankles, rumors swirled about the president's health. So finally, the White House set the record straight. Yes, Trump has been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency.
In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy, and the president remains in excellent health.
Speculation ran wild this week after viral photos showed Trump's noticeably swollen ankles and bruising on his hand that were reportedly concealed with makeup during his latest public appearances. In response, the White House medical team conducted precautionary evaluation of Trump's condition. The tests included vascular studies and Doppler ultrasounds on both legs. The results? Doctors diagnosed it as chronic venous insufficiency, a benign but common condition seen in elderly patients. The condition occurs when veins in the leg struggle to send blood back to the heart, often causing swelling. Doctors typically begin treatment with compression therapy, which helps reduce leg swelling and discomfort. If symptoms such as leg pain, skin sores, or thickened, hardened skin persist, then more invasive treatments may be necessary. According to the White House, the test did not detect any signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease, both of which would have been more serious concerns. As for the bruising on his right hand, doctors attributed to frequent handshakes, which when combined with Trump's routine aspirin therapy, can cause minor bleeding under the skin. Aspirin has long been a part of Trump's standard cardiovascular prevention regimen, according to his medical team. During her White House briefing, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt read aloud a letter from Trump's physician, Navy officer Sean Barbabella. Barbabella confirmed that all tests were conducted strictly as a precaution and emphasized that both leg swellings and bruisings posed no threat to Trump's overall health. The disclosure comes amid a flurry of online rumors and visual speculation about Trump's physical condition. The White House says it made this public to dispel misinformation and reassure the masses. In the official words of the White House, the president remains in excellent health and continues his public schedule without any interruption. During the 2024 presidential election campaign, Trump kept targeting his predecessor Joe Biden over his age and health concerns. So when questions were raised about Trump, the White House quickly jumped in with a diagnosis in the hope that it will put the rumors to rest. It was supposed to be a night of music and magic at Coldplay's Boston concert. But for astronomer CEO Andy Byron and his HR head Kristen Cabot, the magic turned into mayhem.
Oh, look at these two. All right, come on, you're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Caught live on the Jumbotron in what might be 2025's most viral moment. As Chris Martin teased the crowd with his signature kiss cam routine, the camera landed on Byron and Cabot. Arms locked, fingers intertwined, looking very much not like just colleagues. What followed after that was Byron diving out of sight, Cabot burying her face, and an internet exploding. The crowd cheered and Chris quipped, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. The clip spread like wildfire. Memes, TikToks, betting odds on their marital status. Even Elon Musk weighed in. One user summed it up. The odds of your marriage ending up at a Coldplay concert are low, but never zero. But the plot thickened when screenshots of an alleged apology from Byron began circulating. The statement read like a mashup of PR damage control and Tumblr poetry, citing the loss of privacy and signing off with Coldplay's lyrics, "Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you." Except it wasn't real. The viral apology was traced back to a parody account on X run by someone claiming to work at CBS News. No such employee exists. In fact, Astronomer never released a statement. A second fake statement followed, admitting Byron's love for Coldplay's recent albums. The internet laughed even louder. Meanwhile, Byron's wife, Meghan, wasn't laughing. Eagle-eyed sleuths noticed she dropped his surname from her Facebook profile and just stuck to Meghan Kerrigan. Hours later, she deleted her account altogether. It was gone from Instagram too. Support flooded in for Meghan, with one user writing, "What a class act. Go Meghan. Get the divorce lawyer and get the bag." Andy Byron, the now infamous CEO of Astronomer, has been leading the $1.3 billion data software firm since 2023. Previously lauded as a driven and strategic leader, he now faces viral memes and resurgent claims of toxic workplace behavior from ex-employees. Kristen Cabot, Astronomer's chief people officer, joined in late 2024. A Silicon Valley veteran with a passion for building trust with CEOs, she's ironically finding herself at the center of a workplace scandal. Several reports also suggest that Cabot divorced her husband in 2022, but Byron is still married with 2 children. There is no official confirmation. As one TikTok user put it, there is no plausible reason for their reaction unless they're having an affair, period. Another asked the question on everyone's mind. Does Kristen now have to lead her own workplace misconduct meeting? Former employees aren't surprised either. Some are allegedly celebrating in group chats, calling Byron a toxic boss who's finally getting what he deserves. As Coldplay's Chris Martin realized what had unfolded, he nervously told the crowd, "Holy shit, I hope we didn't do something bad." Too late, the internet dubbed it Coldplaygate. Google searches for astronomer wife and astronomer CEO skyrocketed. Astronomer's social media pages went quiet, and Byron's LinkedIn account stands deactivated.
Co-presented. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
और आज उसकी सफलता पूरी दुनिया देख रही है। साथियों, बिहार के पास न सामर्थ्य की कमी है और न ही संसाधन की। आज बिहार के संसाधन बिहार की प्रगति का माध्यम बन रहे हैं। आप देखिए, एनडीए सरकार के प्रयासों के बाद से ही मखाना की कीमतें कितनी बढ़ी हैं, क्योंकि हमने यहाँ के मखाना किसानों को बड़े बाजार से जोड़ा। हम मखाना बोर्ड का गठन कर रहे हैं। यहाँ केला, लीची, मरचा चावल, कटारनी चावल, जर्दालू आम, मगही पान, अभी ऐसे कितने ही उत्पाद और हैं जो बिहार के किसानों को, बिहार के युवाओं को दुनिया भर के मार्केट से जोड़ेंगे। भाइयों बहनों, किसानों के उत्पाद और उनकी आय को बढ़ाना हमारी प्राथमिकता है। पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि योजना के तहत अब तक करीब 3.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया किसानों को दिए गए हैं। यहां अकेले मोतीहारी में ही 5 लाख से ज्यादा किसानों को 1,500 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा मिले हैं। साथियों, न हम नारों तक अटकते हैं, न हम वादों तक सिमटते हैं, हम तो काम करके दिखाते हैं। जब हम कहते हैं कि हम पिछड़ों, अति पिछड़ों के लिए निरंतर काम कर रहे हैं, तो ये हमारी नीतियों में भी, निर्णयों में भी नजर आता है। एनडीए सरकार का तो मिशन ही है हर पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता, हर पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता, चाहे पिछड़ा क्षेत्र हो या पिछड़ा वर्ग हो, हमारी सरकार की वो पहली प्राथमिकता है। दशकों तक हमारे देश में 110 से ज्यादा जिलों को पिछड़ा कहकर छोड़ दिया गया था। वो जाने, उनका नसीब जाने, ये हाल कर दिया था। हमने इन जिलों को प्राथमिकता दी। पिछड़े जिले के बजाय उन्हें आकांक्षी जिला बनाकर इनका विकास किया, यानी पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता।
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to the Hard Facts. I am Anand Narsimhan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched one of his sharpest attacks yet at the Mamata Banerjee-led Trinamool Congress government in West Bengal. Speaking at a rally in Durgapur earlier on Friday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the youth of Bengal are being forced to migrate for jobs. Old industries are shutting down and new ones aren't coming in. He accused the Trinamool Congress of acting like a wall to Bengal's development and blamed the party for a double attack of corruption and crime in the state. The Prime Minister targeted the Mamata Banerjee government for giving a free run to rioters in Murshidabad and shielding perpetrators as well as those accountable for the Arjika rape and murder case, as well as the Calcutta Law College sexual assault case where links have emerged between the Trinamool Congress and the main accused. The Prime Minister went on to accuse the Trinamool Congress government of giving a safe haven to infiltrators for appeasement politics, endangering the state's identity and even insulting the Election Commission for cleaning up the voter roll in the state of Bihar. He vowed that anyone who is not a citizen of Bharat and has entered the country illegally will continue to face legal action in accordance with the Constitution. Now, the Prime Minister launched a slew of development projects before making these statements, worth 5,400 crore, unveiling major initiatives across oil and gas, power, rail and road sectors to boost infrastructure, connectivity and clean energy in the region. Now, ahead of the 2026 Bengal elections, Prime Minister has sounded perhaps the poll bugle with the slogan TMC Hatao, Bengal Bachao. Listen in.
जिस दिन टीएमसी सरकार की दीवार बंगाल में गिरी, उसी दिन से बंगाल विकास की नई तेजी पकड़ लेगा। बीजेपी एक समृद्ध पश्चिम बंगाल बनाना चाहती है। बीजेपी एक विकसित पश्चिम बंगाल का निर्माण करना चाहती है, जहां मुर्शिदाबाद जैसे दंगे होते हो, छोटी छोटी बातों पर हिंसा हो जाती हो और पुलिस एक तरफा कार्रवाई करे, वहां कोई कैसे निवेश कर सकता है? यहां की सरकार नीतियां ही अपने नेताओं को भ्रष्टाचार की खुली छूट देने के लिए बनाती है। आज पश्चिम बंगाल में अस्पताल भी बेटियों के लिए सुरक्षित नहीं है। जो आरोपी है, उनका कनेक्शन टीएमसी से निकला है। घुसपैठियों के फर्जी कागज बनाए जा रहे हैं। इसका एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम यहां डेवलप किया गया है। तुष्टीकरण के लिए टीएमसी हर हद पार कर रही है। जो भारत का नागरिक नहीं है, जो घुसपैठ करके आया है, उसके साथ भारत के संविधान के तहत न्याय सम्मत कार्रवाई होती रहेगी। बंगाल को परिवारवाद नहीं, प्रतिभा का सम्मान चाहिए। बंगाल को सिंडिकेट नहीं, स्टार्टअप का इकोसिस्टम चाहिए। बंगाल को ऐसी सरकार चाहिए जो शांति और सुरक्षा की गारंटी दे सके। आज हर कोई कह रहा है टीएमसी हटाओ, बंगाल बचाओ।
That's the clarion call. TMC Hatao, Bengal Bachao. Meanwhile, the Trinamool Congress was quick on the counter at Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling his speech a mix of political provocations and lies.
উনি আসছেন পশ্চিমবঙ্গের সমালোচনা করতে। প্রত্যেকটা বিজেপি রাজ্যে নিয়মিত নারী নির্যাতন চলছে, সম্পূর্ণভাবে মিথ্যাচার করেছেন। বাংলার বকেয়া টাকা আনেননি, একটা কাল্পনিক বাতাবরণের প্রতিশ্রুতি দিয়ে গিয়েছেন। রাজনৈতিক মিথ্যাচার হয়েছে।
So in Bangla, Kunal Ghosh is saying that this is all nothing but brazen provocation, politicization and a bunch of lies. Mithyachar, that means spread of lies. Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP with us. Kanchan Gupta, senior advisor, information and broadcasting ministry is with us. Tausif Khan, advocate and political analyst, and Shubhankar Bhattacharya, political analyst, should join us any moment now. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Pradeep Bhandari, the moment the Prime Minister hinted at a Gharjana, the Trinamool Congress was quick on the counter. They said you can garjo whatever you want, whatever is the state of Bengalis outside of Bengal. That was a question he asked with respect to what's happening in Odisha and elsewhere. The Prime Minister did hint upon it, but the Trinamool is ready with its counters. They are ready for this fight. More the Prime Minister attacks the Trinamool Congress government, they seem to be ready to attack the Prime Minister back. TMC Hatao, Bengal Bachao, the PM has said.
Well, Anandji, the reality, I'll tell you what has happened in Bengal. At the time of independence, Bengal used to contribute 30% to the industrial output of the country. Now, after the communists in the Trinamool Congress, it does not even contribute 4% to the industrial output. At the time of independence, the per capita GDP of Bengal was roughly equal to Maharashtra. Now, it is not even half. In the Trinamool Congress, 65,000 factories have already been closed. 2,226 companies have gone away from Bengal in the last 5 years of Trinamool Congress rule. Let me quote further. Since Mamata Banerjee has come to power, it has been more than 10 years. But in the last 5 years, 21,521 factories have closed. So who is responsible for it? Trinamool Congress is responsible for it. Are the Bengalis in Bengal safe under Trinamool Congress? Are the Bengali daughters in Bengal safe from Trinamool Congress men? Absolutely not. What has happened in Kasba? It is the Trinamool Congress men who is accused of rape. What happened in the case of RG Kar rape and murder case? The victim's family was made to attempt was made to bribe the victim's family by none other than Mamata Banerjee. When the women chief minister of Bengal calls rape cases as love affair gone wrong, then definitely the Bengalis in Bengal are not safe under Trinamool Congress rule. Let us go further. What has happened in the case of infiltration? Bengal government till date has not given more than 200 kilometers of land which has to be fenced. Why is it that a Trinamool Congress Panchayat member, a Bangladeshi Rohingya, Bangladeshi infiltrator comes out to be from the Trinamool Congress? Yes, I am talking about Khatun, who was a Trinamool Congress Panchayat member. What is the state of law and order in Bengal? More than 50,000 posts of Bengal police are lying vacant. What happens when an investigative agency comes to Sandesh Khali to investigate? The Bengal police does not act, and you have goons of Trinamool Congress and Sheikh Shahjahan throwing stones and attacking the investigative agency. At this moment, Bengal needs Chutkara from Trinamool Congress, because the Bengali Asmita cannot be at the Bengali Asmita cannot be when Bengali daughters are raped under Trinamool Congress. Trinamool Congress protect the rapists, and the law and order has completely collapsed, and the industrial output has completely collapsed. Tell us one fact which we have raised is absolutely not factual. And if the charge is about Boira Goto, let me tell you, our party was founded by Shama Prasad Mukherjee, who gave the first industrial policy at the time of Jansangh. That is what our roots from Bengal is. You know, the spiritual mentor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes from Bengal. That is what our root from Bengal is. We do not need a Mamata Banerjee who goes to Goa and calls herself a daughter of Goa. Does she become a Boira Goto when she does that? What type of politics is going? Tripura, majority Bengalis vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Assam, majority Bengalis vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party. A Rajya Sabha member recently nominated from Assam is a Bengali. We stand for the pride of Bengal. I myself is married to a Bengali woman and a Bengali Jamai. That is how we are connected to Bengal. Trinamool Congress wants to create a fake hysteria in the mind of people of Bengal because they have done zero governance, and they are on the verge of losing the election because we are the single largest, we are the more principal opposition party with 40% vote share and more than 2 crore Bengalis backing us.
All right, there are a few counters to you, Pradeep Bhandari, which I'd like to make. But first, Tausif Khan, please respond, please rebut, and then we'll take this forward. Shubhankar, namaste.
So the list is long. I know, from where do we start and where do we end? Let us start with the last thing that BJP spokesperson was saying, that Bengali proud and respect towards Bengali. Why hasn't the Prime Minister spoken a single word with respect to Bengalis being beaten up in all BJP ruled states just because they speak Bengali? They are tagged Bangladeshi, they are beaten up, they are arrested, and whatnot. Such kind of hatred and ill treatment towards Bengali speaking person across the country in BJP state, especially in North Indian states. Why the Prime Minister is silent? He does not consider Bengali speaking person to have same right just like any other Hindi speaking person. Why is the Prime Minister silent? Secondly, he talks about all the political slogans that Trinamool follows and is countering that. So this is merely a political sloganeering, a political campaign that has brought him to Bengal. He's not concerned about the development of Bengal. Had he been concerned about the development of Bengal, the funds that are stalled by the center, he would release those. The issues like the civil liberties and the choice of food. He talks about now the certification on samosas and jalebis. The Bengal has never gone in the
It's
Uttar
fake
Pradesh
news.
or any BJP ruled states like they do in BJP ruled state. In Bengal, the mansho, the mutton is also offered in Kali Puja as prasad. Therefore, Bengali culture cannot be dictated or changed just because someone from North India comes and asks us or belittles us how we perform puja or how we are so open-minded towards food of choice of food or choice of clothes of like they do that in Uttar Pradesh. They dictate what to eat and what not to eat. Here, all those things will not work. Come what may, the Prime Minister is facing a flag inside the party. His own party people wants the Prime Minister and Amit Shah to go. They want him to retire after 75 years. And yet he comes in Bengal and talks about political party in here. The mass leader Mamata Banerjee, where the entire state of Bengal stands behind Mamata Banerjee. Even after consecutive 3 elections, and in spite of using all force in political campaigns in Bengal in the past 3 elections, BJP has only seen a downtrend. Trinamool is only going upwards. So what kind of dreams is he's coming and selling to the people, to the BJP workers in Bengal?
Right.
These are all rubbish. He
Okay.
must talk concrete. Release the funds, the dues that center owes to Bengal government. He's not doing that. Allow the Bengal industry to prosper. Why only the tenders are given to Gujarati-linked private firms and none from Bengal? Even though, and I can give you one example. What happened? The bridge collapse. We found that the company who was given the maintenance and which caused the bridge collapse had no experience in bridge maintenance, and in fact was a electrical a company linked to electronics, selling electronics and all. And when it comes to any firm from Bengal or outside Gujarat, they have all these lists. You have to have a previous work experience and
Okay, now-
so on,
now-
just to award a central
See,
government tender. Why did
this
he
right
step,
now the
brother,
focus
step
the focus
steps
right now is
untreated?
Bengal. The focus right now is Bengal, and we'll raise questions. You made your point. There are a few questions here, but Kanchan Gupta ji, has the Prime Minister drawn a distinct difference between a Bharatiya Bengali and a non-Bharatiya Bengali? Every Bangla Bhashi need not be a Bharatiya. Has the Prime Minister very clearly drawn that difference? Just because you speak Bangla doesn't make you a Bharatiya. You're on mute, sir. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think that's commonsensical. I mean, every Urdu-speaking person need not be a Bharatiya. Every Tamil-speaking person need not be a Bharatiya, just as every Bengali-speaking person need not be a Bharatiya. So, language and citizenship are two different things. Now, my friend from the Trinamool Congress, very young, very callow, he was talking, waxing eloquent on Bengalis and their plight outside Bengal. I am a Bengali. I have lived nearly all my life outside Bengal, and right now I am speaking to you from a state called Uttar Pradesh. So I have never found any restrictions being imposed on me, whether in terms of language or in terms of what I can eat or what I can wear or where I can go. So this kind of pompous denunciation, it may sound very nice to Trinamool supporters, but it doesn't really cut ice with the rest of the country. Number one. Number two, if Bengal is indeed a land of milk and honey, as is claimed by the TMC and the chief minister, why do so many tens and thousands and millions of people migrate out of West Bengal to put food on their plate? Why? If you look at numbers, there is a reversal in migration from states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, but there is an increase from West Bengal. So, and this is a question which the West Bengal government should answer, that if it is providing everything, if it is such a nice place to be in, if it is a place of opportunities and booming industry and business and trade, why is it that Bengalis are leaving West Bengal in droves? Why is it that town after town, city after city in West Bengal is now referred to as an old age home? You only have old parents living there, their young children have migrated. So, instead of answering these basic questions, she and her followers, they keep on raking up stuff which really is not, it is of no relevance over here. Now, I will give you one example. This whole thing of the Prime Minister is not giving us our money. What money? The center does not give out money for a chief minister to rebrand projects and use central funds to float her own publicity. The money which we have been giving out for something like, say, Jal Jeevan Mission, it doesn't carry anything, any promotional photo or slogan of the central government. It is just called Jal Jeevan Mission, and in Bengali it becomes Jal Jeevan Mission. And she insists that no, she is going to rebrand it, put her own mugshot on it, and use central funds to do it. Everybody knows that one of the and they themselves have admitted. Abhishek Banerjee has himself admitted that the distribution of money for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana that was tainted. That TMC people who were not entitled to those funds, they grabbed that money. Everybody knows 26,000 teachers have lost their jobs and their livelihood because TMC leaders, TMC ministers, TMC politicians, they grabbed money and gave jobs for money. Is the TMC trying to deny this, that this didn't happen? Why isn't the TMC coming out and saying that, well, it happened and this is where the money went? If the minister had so much, if the minister and his mole had so much money stacked in their homes, imagine how much money was passed upstairs.
Well, we don't know about that, but yeah, one can. It leaves.
We don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
We
know how much money was found in the minister's house.
We don't know whether that money was passed up or how much money was passed up.
You mean to say
no, but there is a supposition.
No, sorry.
Kanchanji, there is a supposition.
By media also.
This
person from whose house money was found, he was Mamata Banerjee's closest, most trusted.
You are fair. Sir, I am not saying that. I am saying it's a fair assessment or a supposition to make that money would have gone up. How much money would have gone up? You and me cannot find out. The authorities have to find it. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not providing cover fire for anybody here.
These are the tough questions.
Correct. There are tough questions.
That the TMC is untainted or the TMC.
There are tough questions all around. The voter will have to see who's able to answer these tough questions and who's been on the right side of things. That at the end of the day, it's the voter who's got to decide. But Mr. Bhattacharya, I just want to understand from you, is there no cut money and is there no syndicate in Bengal? All is well there.
Oh, see, I won't, I'm not Pradeep Bhandari, I cannot go on singing anthem about TMC and crying out that everything, is fair with the party, everything is fair. But the thing is, it's just like saying, that when it comes to who has the dirtier hands, so of course you'll find that the BJP's hands are much more darker, much more black. And I understand that when you have I read senior advisor to the INB ministry, if he comes out with a figure which is completely biased, then I could understand that that what it goes around in the natural content that we find over the net and everywhere. So now, yes, of course, the BJP has been very successful in painting one particular party, or in fact all the opposition in black. Everything that the opposition has done is bad. Accepted. But now the question is, can the senior advisor over here or my very good friend of mine, Mr. Pradeep Bhandari, can they actually refuse that there is any money pending about the state of West Bengal? Why? Number one. Number two, it comes to that whose money is
there
it?
is no money. There is no money spending.
Okay, let him come. Let him come. Please.
Don't keep on repeating.
Let us please.
I did not.
Let us please allow. Mr. Kanchan Gupta. I would.
Please correct yourself.
Shubhankar, 1 minute. One thing I'd request everybody. Please allow everybody else to make their supposition, and we'll come back to you for your counter so that everybody's arguments can be heard. Speaking over each other, heckling each other is not going to help. Please, my request. Okay, and I will give everybody their chance. I have got a lot of questions to ask of all of you, but I'm waiting my chance because nobody, let Shubhankar make his point. Yes, go ahead please, Shubhankar.
Anand, thank you very much. At least this channel has that courtesy to, consider every panelist to be equal. And thanks for that, and kindly, accept my greetings for that. Now, the point I was making over here is, see, the narrative, the double engine ki sarkar, this in itself is a threat to the entire democracy. It is just like saying that wherever we have a government in the state and in the center, there the development will take place, otherwise it is not. And in fact, we have heard the top leaders of BJP coming out with the threats directly. We have seen it in the Karnataka government, Karnataka elections as well, right? What JP Nadda said. And now even Subhendu Adhikari has made it very clear. Jo mere saath, hum unke saath. What do you mean by that? So, see, now the kind of politics that the BJP is doing everywhere, it is quite evident. It is quite, I think they have completely exposed in front of the Bengal government, and that is why. See, Sandesh Khali took place before 24 elections. They have, complained about a lot of things about, they've tried to poach into our party, and they have tried every damn thing that the BJP could have done. But now the question is that what did you see? The TMC has literally grown up in the vote share. They maintained their vote share. They have again come back to the second best performance in the Lok Sabha as well. And now the question, again, the second question is, why do you hate Bengalis? Right? Now, we as a Bengali, I stay in Uttar Pradesh. I tell you what happens in Durga Puja. In Durga Puja, we are only allowed a pit of somewhere around 100 feet to, I should not say Visarjan, that is not Visarjan, but they just, the LMC over here, they try to dump the idols that we worship for 10 long days. That is the kind of provisions we Bengalis are given over here. The people have cried over here. The people have cried over here that, in fact, the cranes, I can show you, in fact, in the Times of India itself, the cranes have pulled out the idols by the neck. By the neck. And it is evident, you can go through, everyone has a Google in their hand. Please do a proper search and then see what content is right. Whether Mr. Kanchan Gupta is saying, is coming out with the facts, or Shubhankar is coming with the facts, or Pradeep.
You'll have to yield
and
now.
The second fact, just now Kanchan Gupta ji said, there is no money pending for West Bengal. Please, I request the viewers of this channel, please search it on your own mobile phone. You have the devices. Don't trust the people on any debate panel. Please trust yourself. Go and search on the Google and ask yourself.
So that applies viewers. That applies viewers to every panelist. That applies viewers to every panelist. Before we get Pradeep Bhandari to respond, we just
of course. Same goes for Shubhankar.
Now allow me to speak, please. The point is that if there is money due and it's not been given, there is also a why. So this maybe and therefore this supposition and then conclusion should not be is unfair. There is a reason why, and that reason should know. If you owe the center 100 rupees and if your earning is 50 rupees, the center says you owe me 100 rupees, so I am going to keep 50 rupees, now you owe me 50 rupees. Then you can't turn around, viewers, and tell the center, listen, you owe me 50 rupees, give me that 50 rupees. Forgetting that you owe the center 100 rupees. So there is a basic arithmetic that is there. Beyond that, we can also get into other aspects. The other thing with respect to what is happening in Uttar Pradesh, where you are getting a pond to do Visarjan and it's unfair. Well, in Kolkata, those who wanted to conduct Durga Puja were not even getting permission for pandals in Bengal itself. So there is a different situation. So that should be they had to go to the court. One second, sir. It is on document that they had to go to the court and they had to go find recourse. No, please. They
I have to rebut.
1 minute. They found.
This is wrong.
Let me complete. No, let me complete. Let me complete. No. You have to allow. I did not interrupt you. You have to allow me to complete. I said they went to the courts. 2 years. They went to the courts to seek recourse for it. Last 2 years, there is a bit of a turnaround. But in Bengal, if you have to have problems that the Durga Puja Pandal procession will not get precedence, and the Tazia will get and a festival will get precedence over Durga Puja, then there are questions which were asked, and that's why they had to go to court. And it's a matter of fact that they had to go to court for multiple years. Now let's go. Let's take this forward. I'm going to park these observations here, and let's go across to Pradeep Bhandari as you answer both Tausif and Shubhankar. Let me also tell you, sir, TMC hatao, Bengal bachao, but it is TMC that is also fueling the BJP in Bengal. You have got a former TMC member who is your state president and your face and the champion today. So if it was not for the Trinamool Congress, the BJP would not have an astitwa there in Bengal today. That's also a reality. Please go ahead.
Well, Anandji, this is 2017 when despite the High Court order, Mamata Banerjee did not allow the Durga Puja Visarjan on the day of Muharram. So the only place where Durga Puja Visarjan was restricted, it was Bengal. Mamata Banerjee has played with Bengali Asmita for her vote bank politics. This is hard fact. Shubhankar will not tell you. Now let me quote on funds because he's absolutely telling fake news. I will just demonstrate. UPA government, Congress government, when Mamata Banerjee was also part of it, allocated only 58,000 crores to Bengal. We have allocated 2 lakh crores to Bengal. Under Manrega funds, UPA only allocated 14,000 crore to Bengal. We have allocated 54,000 crore to Bengal. Under Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana, UPA only allocated 5,000 crore to Bengal. We have allocated 11,000 crore to Bengal. Under Prime Minister Awas Yojana, UPA only allocated 4,000 crore to Bengal. We have allocated 30,000 crore to Bengal. There has not been a single scheme, single provision where our allocation is not at least thrice or 4 times more than what it was during the time of Congress, which was supported by Mamata Banerjee. So the only person which has played with the life of Bengal and Bengali Asmita is Mamata Banerjee. Who is Paresh Pal? He has been recently convicted by the court in anti-Hindu Calcutta, anti-Hindu post-poll violence on the murder of Abhijit Sarkar, Trinamool Congress member. Who is the main accused in Kasba rape case? It is the Trinamool Congress member. Are the daughters of Bengal not representative of Bengali Asmita, or are they not Bengalis for Mamata Banerjee? Because for her, only her vote bank matters. Only for her, the likes of Sheikh Shahjahan and Bobby Hakim are the representative of Bengali Asmita, or also the daughters of Bengal. That is point number 1. So stop lying. Now let me come on to the point. You are telling us of our growth. 1998 is when Trinamool Congress was formed. When did the first government of Trinamool Congress come in Bengal? It took it more than 13 years. In just matter of 10 years, from a single-digit vote share party, we have become a 39% vote share party. On the part of Anand, your question, any individual who believes in our ideology can definitely come. That does not mean that their cases will be gone off or nothing will happen. But it is a hard fact. Go to what happened in the case of Vibhishan. Vibhishan had to give off Ravan and came back to Prabhu Sri Ram Sena because he believed in Dharm. So anybody who believes in saving Bengali Asmita and Dharm will definitely be the Bharatiya Janata Party.
But then those who are forever like the Vanar Sena with the Bharatiya Janata Party, they seem to be sidelined and booted out. So that's just a side.
No.
Sir,
They become the presidents and the prime ministers of this country.
Everybody, they not necessarily become the presidents and prime ministers of the country. Currently, they are in political oblivion. 2 or 3 of them who are supposed to be the stars of the BJP, old hands. But the other thing is, Pradeep Bhandari, the prime minister can say everything about the Trinamool Congress. But is the BJP even present in 40,000 booths out of the 1 lakh plus booths after about 10 years of fighting? That's a question of introspection for the BJP.
Yeah.
You cannot fight a war on social media. You can't fight a war giving speeches and making claims. You have to have boots on ground. What happened within those 48 hours in Bengal post the election results and before the next government came in, to the BJP cadre who stood with the BJP not so long ago, you saw, I saw, everybody on this panel saw, the viewers saw. It's a fair criticism on the BJP.
Anandji, in 2015, we were not even a 10% vote share party. In a matter of 5 years, we became a 39% vote share party. A political growth in a state is a continuous process. You make certain mistakes, you make certain places where you are better and strong. That's how a political party grows. And mark my words, 2026 Bengal election will see every Bengali standing up against the appeasement politics of Trinamool Congress, because it is not about BJP versus TMC in 2026. It is about every Bengali protecting the Bengali Asmita and going against Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee.
I'm not taking anybody's side here. Bengali Asmita is important for every Bengali and every Bharatiya. And I'll put that out there. As a political observer, as a citizen and a political party that is trying to make inroads, if the voter is trying to believe in you, then the leaders have to stand with the voters. Leaders who are para-dropped and who escape and get out before within 24 hours of the election results coming in or before the election results come in, that if that is going to be the state, or leaders who are parachuted out from other parties who are not core to the ideology and the philosophy of the party, and then they are given leadership, how much of that? I have nothing against Mr. Shuvendu Adhikari or anybody else. I have nothing against anybody. I am asking you as a core party, if that is how you are going to run the party, then where is the core of the BJP in Bengal? Is a fair question for a BJP voter in Bengal to ask.
It is intact. We are going from 40 to 50% vote share party in Bengal. Shamik Bhattacharya, our current Bengal president, has been an old Bharatiya Janata Party hand. He used to win elections as an MLA when the party was hardly present in the state.
All the best to Mr.
Adhikari has been adopted by every Karyakarta in Bengal. And you have Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision, which is taking Bengal forward. Mark my words, Anandji, we are present on more booths than what we were in 2021.
This is, I am only airing
can
feedback.
differ on this.
Yeah, let's agree to disagree on a lot of matters. Mr. Shuvendu Adhikari, has he adopted every core original Bharatiya Janata Party and RSS Karyakarta, and has every core, has every core,
if you disagree.
The Trinamool Congress may disagree with me and they may not send a representative on the panel. That's their choice. I have nothing against Mamata Didi or the Trinamool Congress personally. I have got nothing for the BJP or Mr. Shuvendu Adhikari personally. I am making this observation that not only the party has to accept the leader has also to accept the whole party as a core, and the voter has to accept that person as a replacement for Didi. Let us not forget this fact. Whatever ails the Trinamool Congress in their policies, is there a leader of the stature of Mamata Banerjee today in the opposition or to challenge her? And that is a very big ask. Yes, tall leaders may also have great faults if they make many mistakes, and Ms. Mamata Banerjee has to look inwards very, very carefully, because her campaign also is in the doldrums if she follows this line of appeasement or perceived appeasement. Shubhankar, yes, Pradeep Bhandari, respond, and then Shubhankar. And then I'll go to Kanchanji and also
Just
Tosi.
5 seconds of point. Just 2 specific points. Point number 1, recall 2017 Uttar Pradesh elections. We won with a landslide. The face was Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That is point number 1. Point number 2, Shubhendu Adhikari recently defeated Mamata Banerjee in Nandigram despite her entire attempt in staying in Nandigram for more than a month. So we have leaders, our state president is there, every leader and every karyakarta is only working with one vision, that is Bengal has to be taken out from this appeasement politics of Mamata Banerjee. It is not about BJP versus TMC, it is about protecting the Bengali Asmita where BJP is the vehicle.
I have only one thing to say, sir. The days of trying to win wars on social media and elections on social media is over. The Bengali voter now wants to see whoever has the intent at their doorstep on ground. In Maharashtra, that election was won because the BJP Karyakarta along with its supporters was there at the doorstep on ground. That's all I am making as an observation, and this is direct feedback from people in Bengal who have fair observers. They are not making any judgment call anybody. It's a reality on ground, and it's on my responsibility to highlight that. Yes, Shubhankar Bhattacharya. Shubhankar, yes, you had a point to make. Go ahead, please. Respond.
Yes. Yeah. I won't take much time of yours. First of all, I'd request Anand, please send a cough syrup to my friend Pradeep over there. He has got a lovely voice, but let me tell you, there are two breathless songs I have heard wonderfully. The one comes from Shankar Mahadev and another from Pradeep Bhandari ji. I never hear a single strain of breath over there. So, but when it comes to facts, let me tell him.
When you speak, my dear friend,
PM allocated so much of fund for this, PM allocated so much
Don't compliment too early, Shubhankar, because
allocated,
you may just not find a voice very soon because they may just outspeak you. So be careful there. But yeah, go ahead, please. On a lighter note, just carry on.
Okay, accepted. Yeah. That also is accepted. I'm a very accepting person, man. So I accept it all. Anyways, see. He said a lot about the fund, that so much fund has been allocated, so much fund was allocated for Manrega, so much for this, so much for that. Allocated but not paid. Now let me tell you, there was an Amphan storm over there in West Bengal in somewhere in 2021 itself, while the COVID was already there. I think 2020 itself. When PM went over there and he even travelled with Mamata Banerjee together, and he announced a fund of about 1,000 crores for the storm affected areas. You'll be surprised that on 2022 he had to be reminded twice about that particular fund, that still it has completely not been paid. So yes, of course it was paid in 2022. So it took 2 years to fulfill that particular, when the I think that the storm was already down. Anyways, now when it comes to Anand, your point where you said that the pujas in West Bengal were stalled. No, it didn't happen like that. Number one,
corrected
please
myself
check
and
your
I said
data
puja
again.
processions.
Nobody,
No,
not
I
even
corrected.
Mamata Banerjee can ever dare to stop Durga Puja in West Bengal.
I corrected and I said it was puja processions. The other thing is, sir, that the puja, all the puja pandals had to pay a certain level of cut money and a certain amount to the syndicate for contribution. Go ahead.
Even in Amphan.
Anand, you don't want to interrupt it. Let me.
Go ahead.
Please don't interrupt me as well.
Go ahead.
Let me finish my point. Number one, that was one about the Damdam Puja that you are talking about. The puja at the Damdam area, right? That was there. I accept. And which led to, they went to the High Court and all. I understand that. We can come about it. We had a lot of debate over that as well. Now, the second one which you talk about is about there was a puja at a particular ghat, which they had.
Okay, we are getting into the minutiae here. I mean, I don't have the time to get into the minutiae, but the overall aspect of the perception. No, the perception, sir, the perception, and also like I have got ground feedback about the BJP, I have also ground feedback about the Trinamool Congress. And what they told many families in Kolkata knocking on their door and saying, they will go after the elections, we will be here. If you want to survive, you know what to do at the elections. This was brazen intimidation that happened on ground. So this Danda Tantra has been used just like the left by the Trinamool Congress also. And a lot of the victories which you claim happened.
If they have done it wrong.
No. Had even
Panchayat.
1 minute, sir. Panchayat elections, women candidates. Women candidates on camera intimidated. From Mahto to so many, Trilochan Mahto downwards, how many political murders and how many convictions that have happened? Give me that data, sir. It's not happened. Kanchan Gupta ji. I got four. I got 3 more minutes. No, Kanchan. No, one. Shubhankar, I've got to be a little more this one. Well, please, I have to stop you. Kanchan Gupta ji.
Well, Anand, very quickly, I don't think media should really be pontificating on how a political party should run its affairs. I'm not going to comment on the BJP or the BJP's internal matters. That is not my job. So, but neither do I think it is your place to say who should join the party and who shouldn't join the party. And when you talk of feedback on a lighter note, since you are allowing lighter note, on a lighter note, I hope the feedback is not from your Bengali channel. I will just leave it at that. The whole thing is getting very... The whole attack seems to be very Goebbelsian. You keep on repeating, center has not given money, center has not given money. Now, that is not how it works. The chief minister has also served as a minister at the center. And she knows very well that central monies are released not in one go, but in tranches. And for every tranche, you have to submit the expenditure account of the previous tranche. Now, the West Bengal government refuses to provide the accounts or the manner in which the money was spent for the first tranche or the second tranche, but they want the next tranche. And as I said, even the West Bengal government acknowledges, at least the nephew does, I don't know about the aunt, that there was corruption in the distribution of money for PM Awas Yojana. And there was, and also it was made very abundantly clear to Mamata Banerjee that you will get central funds for central schemes. They are non-denominational, they are bipartisan, but you cannot take the funds and float your own scheme to promote yourself. Now, she is not willing to do that. And the center, of course, will not do what she wants to do. Every other chief minister if they are taking the central money, they implement central projects. So the last point which I wanted to make, this whole thing that tall leader of stature, West Bengal has seen several leaders of stature, and they have fallen like nine pins when the moment has arrived for the people to rise and throw them out of office. We shouldn't forget that the CPM-led Left Front was in office for 33 years.
We shouldn't also forget
they were demolished. They were wiped.
We shouldn't also forget that from 7 to 77, and after that falling down from 18 to how much in the Lok Sabha elections for the BJP.
That is possible. Anand, you want to trap me into...
No, I don't want to trap anybody. I don't want to trap anybody. No, but there should not be this attitude. There should not be this attitude that a particular political party or its leaders and the way it functions can be above rebuke or above question. If questions can be asked of Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress, then questions should be asked of the BJP clearly. So then when you are saying that tall leaders can fall, that applies to all political parties.
Of course, yes.
And fortunes can change, that applies to all political parties.
So if it applies to all parties, then it applies to TLC also.
Correct. And a party that believes that it wanted to go from strength to strength, it should have demonstrated that strength between 22 to 24. It didn't. Does it recalibrate in 26? We'll have to wait and watch. Because, sir, you are going to challenge a lioness in her bastion. So there has to be more than just the captain batting for it, is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to end on that note. I've run out of time. Tausif, I'll make it up to you the next time we connect. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Now, shifting focus, CNN News 18 has accessed the petition filed by Justice Yashwant Verma in the Supreme Court, seeking to quash an inquiry report linking him to the charred cash found in his residence. Justice Verma has denied misconduct ahead of potential impeachment and challenged the report of the three-member in-house panel, calling it unsustainable. This comes as the impeachment process now heads to Parliament. But this is what Justice Verma has argued. He says only Parliament can remove a judge, not Supreme Court. CJI can't recommend removal without due process. In-house procedure cannot override judicial tenure. Judiciary cannot assume legislative powers. Recommendation for removal violates constitution. No formal complaint filed, procedure invalid. Judicial overreach undermines public trust. The Chief Justice's letter to Prime Minister, President is unconstitutional. Top court making report public led to a media trial. The CJI cannot be arbiter of fellow judges' removal. However, the findings of the in-house panel have been damning. The panel concluded that material including burnt sacks of notes was surreptitiously moved out of the room which was part of the outhouse exactly a day after much of the money was burnt in a mysterious fire. According to the Supreme Court panel, removing burnt notes was akin to destruction of crucial evidence so that no links could be established with the judge. The panel report even says the court staff at the judge's home may be involved in the destruction of the evidence. Moreover, as per report, the judge during the course of the investigation had reportedly claimed that the outhouse room was not locked, but the committee has found that the room was kept locked and it was only after the fire that the lock was broken to allow firefighters to enter the room. Now, Union Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju have said the impeachment move has been initiated by members of Parliament exercising their constitutional privilege. He added that the opposition's support for the motion reflects a collective stand against corruption.
सरकार का कुछ भी लेना देना नहीं है. इसमें संविधान ने सांसदों को ये ताकत दी है कि आप अगर संसद सदस्य चाहें तो कि कोई जज ठीक काम नहीं कर रहा है या भ्रष्ट आचरण में लिप्त है या उसका हटना जरूरी है देश हित में, तो संसद सदस्य 100 या 100 से अधिक तो लोकसभा के में प्रस्ताव लावें, स्पीकर साहब को नोटिस दें. राज्यसभा में 50 या 50 से अधिक सदस्य हस्ताक्षर करके चेयरमैन साहब को नोटिस दें. तो ये तो सांसदों का विषय है, सरकार का इसमें कोई विषय ही नहीं है. सांसद और स्पीकर, सांसद और चेयरमैन राज्यसभा.
पर ये तैयारी तो चल रही है कहीं ना कहीं कि इनके खिलाफ कोई मोशन लाना है.
सांसद तैयारी कर रहे हैं अपनी, सांसद अपनी तैयारी कर रहे हैं.
तो आपके कहने का मतलब है कि मोशन भी जो लाएंगे वो सांसद ही लाएंगे, कोई मंत्री नहीं
लाएंगे. सांसद ही उनको स्पीकर साहब को वो देंगे, ये हमने हस्ताक्षर करके दिए हैं, आप ये कार्रवाई करो.
Corruption in judiciary is extremely sensitive and a serious matter because judiciary is where people get justice. If there is corruption in judiciary, it is a serious concern for everybody. That is why Justice Yashwant Verma's case for motion of removal is to be signed by all the political parties. For that, I have already coordinated. I have spoken to all the senior leaders of different political parties. I will also get in touch with some of the single MP parties because I don't want to leave out any member. So it becomes, a unified stand of the Parliament of India. Yes, I'm happy that they understood the things as it should be because no party can be seen to be standing with a corrupt judge or protecting a corrupt judge.
So the matter is far from over, but this plea in the Supreme Court, is this a last-ditch effort to evade impeachment? Is there merit to Justice Verma's claims, and will the Supreme Court entertain the plea? Ashutosh Srivastava, lawyer Supreme Court, and Sumit Chandra, lawyer Supreme Court with us. My namaste, Jai Hind. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Sumit Chandra ji, let's start with you. Where's your thought on this, opinion on this?
Is the question to me?
Yeah, Sumit Chandra ji, yes.
Yes. See, I mean, we need to look at 2-3 facts. Very clearly, Justice Yashwant Verma's case, there is a preliminary inquiry that has been done. That inquiry is in fact a fact-finding inquiry. It's not a formal inquiry under the law or as provided under Article 124 of the Constitution of India. Now, what happens in a fact-finding inquiry or a procedure is that the person is not given a chance to, there is no examination of witnesses, there is no cross-examination, the statements are to be recorded in a certain manner. There's an entire procedural formal inquiry which has been articulated under Article 124 of the Constitution of India. Anand, what has happened so far is just a preliminary report as per the in-house procedure drawn by the Supreme Court Full Court Resolution of 1999. So, yet, just on the basis of a preliminary report,
I think now what has happened is everybody has assumed, or in fact gone into the fact, discussions are on whether already he has been termed as guilty. A lot of channels I see are already calling him guilty, but the question still remains. The formal inquiry is yet to be conducted. The preliminary fact-finding report cannot be termed as an inquiry report as provision under Article 124(5) of the Constitution of India.
Ashutosh Srivastava?
See, I would like to say that, judiciary is the most important and integral part of any constitution. And any such serious allegation of corruption charges against a judge is absolutely a very serious issue. And I think, the committee was rightly formed and under the guidance of, Justice Khanna. And accordingly, the report has been submitted. And the report has suggested for the impeachment of the judge. However, I do understand that even the judge will have his own rights to, go to the Supreme Court, which he has opted and has filed the writ petition challenging the committee's report. That is his right. But at the same time, if we see, under Article 218 of the Constitution, which talks about the removal or the impeachment of the High Court judge, the due procedures have been followed. Even though when Justice Verma is making allegations that he has not been taken into the loop while the investigation was going on, and even his side should have been taken up. See, these are certain issues that the Supreme Court will look into in the writ petition filed by Justice Verma. That is one part of it. But at the same time, as we know that the monsoon session of the parliament is going to start on 21st of July. And this motion, I think, will be, moved by the government. And that will depend on, as we know that the rule says that 2/3 of the majority of the members present should vote. And once it is passed by both the houses of the parliament, then the president is the last authority to sanction it for the impeachment. But it now, if the Supreme Court grants him any relief meanwhile, then it may be delayed or whatever. But I think the chances are very remote, for him to get any such relief from the Supreme Court. But obviously, it will be the wisdom of the Supreme Court to decide on the merits of the case and the grounds on which this writ petition has been filed by Justice Verma has to be considered by the Supreme Court, whether it has got any merits or not to be considered. So I think now when the matter comes up to the Supreme Court for further hearing, it will depend as to what kind of, the orders the Supreme Court feels to be in the interest of the people at large and also in the interest of justice.
No, but here is the thing, Sumit ji, and I'll come to you, Ashutosh, on the same. The fact is, it's a Supreme Court-led panel that made these observations and has made these recommendations. So if he goes back to the same Supreme Court, then who presides on this question? The second part is, the government is saying the MPs will decide. So who's going to move this motion for impeachment in Parliament for everyone to consider?
See, if I go by the 99 full court, in fact, it was 15 December 1999, a Supreme Court, by way of a full court resolution, devised an in-house procedure in such cases. Now, what was decided was that no formal inquiry would be taking place in such cases, but it will be in the nature of a fact-finding inquiry. And if it comes up during the fact-finding report that a case is made out, then the Supreme Court will refer it back to the Parliament, because it is only the Parliament under Article 124 of the Constitution of India which provides and has the power to impeach a High Court judge. The removal of a High Court judge cannot be done by the Supreme Court. It has to be done by the Parliament. Now, when we say Parliament, it means 2/3 majority of both the houses of the Parliament. It's not a particular minister who has a power or so.
No,
It is
it's about who moves the motion. I'm asking you, this is about Ghanti Kaun Bandega. Who will make, because then everybody else, who will be? So will this be an independent member of the upper house, some person who's seen to be a president nominee and but not belonging to any political party as such? Because all political parties would want to eventually say, oh, this matter came, we voted, but we were not the one who proposed it.
Right,
So that's one point. The other question is that if this panel has not heard Justice Verma as he is claiming, who will hear Justice Verma? And can this fact-finding committee find facts without hearing Justice Verma?
No, Anand, answering your first question first. After the report of the Supreme Court, the preliminary report which has come out in the nature of a fact-finding inquiry, will now be submitted to the Parliament. When I say Parliament, obviously it goes through the Law Ministry. The Parliament has its own procedures. The report will now be taken up. The report will now be taken up by the Parliament itself and discussed it in both the houses of the Parliament. Of course, it has to be presented and will be presented through the due process, because
So the Parliamentary Affairs Minister himself will have to move it, or the Law Minister will have to move it?
Or the Law Minister, one of the two will move it. Yes, it has to be formally moved, otherwise it doesn't come up in the House. But the basis of it will be the preliminary report of the Supreme Court. The second question that you ask is, finally, how it is going to be decided whether he'll be given any further opportunity. Now, when the Parliament is in session and the Parliament decides that yes, the discussions take place, the debate takes place on this issue, the panel can also discuss, in fact, they should call for the statement of Justice Verma. Justice Verma can also be called to appear and discuss this in the Parliament, give his side of the story. He must have already given his written side of the story representation before the Supreme Court Preliminary Inquiry Committee as well. However, in case required, that opportunity will be given to him in the Parliament if he so desires, which is his right under Article 124 of the Constitution.
Right. Ashutosh, you have because he has claimed that the fact-finding committee has not spoken with him, or he has not been given a chance to argue his case.
Yes, see, he has raised certain concerns under the provisions of the Judges Inquiry Act 1968. He makes submissions in the Supreme Court that the procedures of the Judges Inquiry Act 1968 has not been followed properly. And based on that technical grounds, he should be given certain sorts of, relief. But see, at the same time, when it has been recommended by the committee, that the motion should be moved for his impeachment in the Parliament. Now it is the Parliament which has to move the motion on the further recommendations of the Speaker, and based on that it will be moved. And as we know that 2/3 of the majority of the members present should support this motion, and then it will be moved further in the Rajya Sabha, and accordingly the same procedure will be followed. And then the President will be the final authority to sign on that impeachment if it happens in that direction. Now, as you rightly asked, that what happens when the same Supreme Court committee, which was formed, has recommended for his impeachment, and he has approached the same Supreme Court, then what would be the outcome of the same? So my answer to that would be that if he has got any concrete grounds that there has been certain lapses by the committee, and he has not been considered at all, to have his own submissions while this investigation was going on and this report was under formation. So based on these technical grounds, if the Supreme Court is
the
convinced...
simple technicality for me, I don't understand all of this, is the fact that cash was moved. Had it not been moved, had it lied there would have been a different case altogether. The fact that it was moved points to some ajibaji. That's where it stands. Thank you, gentlemen. I've run out of time. We'll see how it all pans out when the monsoon session of Parliament gets underway. Thank you for watching. Namaste.
Presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
और आज उसकी सफलता पूरी दुनिया देख रही है। साथियों, बिहार के पास न सामर्थ्य की कमी है और न ही संसाधन की। आज बिहार के संसाधन बिहार की प्रगति का माध्यम बन रहे हैं। आप देखिए, एनडीए सरकार के प्रयासों के बाद से ही मखाना की कीमतें कितनी बढ़ी हैं, क्योंकि हमने यहाँ के मखाना किसानों को बड़े बाजार से जोड़ा। हम मखाना बोर्ड का गठन कर रहे हैं। यहाँ केला, लीची, मरचा चावल, कटारनी चावल, जर्दालू आम, मगही पान, अभी ऐसे कितने ही उत्पाद और हैं जो बिहार के किसानों को, बिहार के युवाओं को दुनिया भर के मार्केट से जोड़ेंगे। भाइयों बहनों, किसानों के उत्पाद और उनकी आय को बढ़ाना हमारी प्राथमिकता है। पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि योजना के तहत अब तक करीब 3.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया किसानों को दिए गए हैं। यहां अकेले मोतीहारी में ही 5 लाख से ज्यादा किसानों को 1,500 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा मिले हैं। साथियों, न हम नारों तक अटकते हैं, न हम वादों तक सिमटते हैं, हम तो काम करके दिखाते हैं। जब हम कहते हैं कि हम पिछड़ों, अति पिछड़ों के लिए निरंतर काम कर रहे हैं, तो ये हमारी नीतियों में भी, निर्णयों में भी नजर आता है। एनडीए सरकार का तो मिशन ही है हर पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता, हर पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता, चाहे पिछड़ा क्षेत्र हो या पिछड़ा वर्ग हो, हमारी सरकार की वो पहली प्राथमिकता है। दशकों तक हमारे देश में 110 से ज्यादा जिलों को पिछड़ा कहकर छोड़ दिया गया था। वो जाने, उनका नसीब जाने, ये हाल कर दिया था। हमने इन जिलों को प्राथमिकता दी। पिछड़े जिले के बजाय उन्हें आकांक्षी जिला बनाकर इनका विकास किया, यानी पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता। हमारे देश के सीमावर्ती गांवों को भी आखिरी गांव कहकर छोड़ दिया गया था। हमने इन आखिरी कहे जाने वाले गांवों को, वहां के विकास को प्राथमिकता दी और हमने नाम ही, व्याख्या ही बदल दी। वो आखिरी नहीं, वो देश का पहला गांव है, यानी पिछड़े को प्राथमिकता। दशकों तक हमारा ओबीसी समाज